I am really very excited to be here and share the work we are doing at Xilinx to enable the machine learning stack. And here I will just give you a preview. This is a pretty broad area, and I will just point out on some of the salient points which we are focusing on. And hopefully this can start a discussion and we can engage more people in this endeavor. So at a very broad level, we all know that deep learning is a buzzword. Whenever you talk about machine learning, people talk of deep learning. And this is no longer just a buzzword. We do interact with deep learning technologies on our day-to-day basis. Our Gmail folder will do spam filters. We talk to our cell phones, and they translate voice to text. And just the other day, my friend and his son was telling him his best friend is Amazon Alexa. And he asked him why, because it helped him do the math problem. He's a first grader. So from that point of view, we are seeing that it is available everywhere. So on one hand, it is kind of bringing an application we didn't think of earlier, or we thought of these are not possible. But on the other hand, the compute requirement for doing this is pretty steep. And when you deploy on a large scale, as Nazim had already said, the efficiency of doing it is very important. So just at a broad level, whenever you think of deep learning, people also use the term artificial neural network or deep neural network in conjunction with that. I'm not going to go deeper into it. But fundamentally, there are two distinct phases of deep learning. One is where you train a network or you train a given model for a given problem or a set of problems. And then you deploy in a large scale on a cloud server or a hyperscale server. And really what you see is learning is very important, but it is kind of an effort which is, one time, or it is done on a background. It is typically done on a cluster of CPUs and GPUs. And FPGAs can surely be deployed on that, but the more interesting thing is when you deploy it to be used for masses, that is where the problem becomes very interesting. And one of the key things, what was conventionally thought, and this is one of the key takeaway we want to make is, conventionally it was thought is the arithmetic precision with which you are going to train the network. Is it the same precision you will require for the inference? So for example, floating point 32 is something which is used heavily in training, and there are reasons for it. There are debates about it, is whether it is needed or not. But industry has standardized on that. But when it comes to inference, the most recent research has really shown that you can do a pretty good inference with a reasonable amount of accuracy with 8 bits or 16-bit integers. And this is one of the key takeaways. So what you do is, whenever you go to the lower precision level, there are a few things which happen. One is the energy efficiency. So how does energy efficiency basically, how the lower bit width translate to energy efficiency? So people have done some benchmarks, and what you can do is for a given amount of energy, you can do 10x more computation when you go from floating point 32 to floating integer 8. And I think a lot of computer scientists are here and they will understand what I'm really saying. The other advantage you have is as you reduce the bit width, you are basically, your energy to interact with the memory also goes down. And easily it will translate to the number of bits you are using to go back and forth with your memory. That's the 4x kind of improvement you get. And on top of all of this, what you really get is you can compress your models, which basically reduces your bandwidth in terms of deploying on a larger scale. So what we really think at Xilinx is, Xilinx FPGA in particular, and I will show you in the next slide, are ideally suited for inference-oriented deployment of some of these machine learning applications. And that is why inference is a focus area. Now, what drives this? And I'm not going to go into detail. And what we really have is a very inference-friendly DSP architecture. Now, here it goes into a little bit details. But really what this DSP can do is, it can do a single bit multiply accumulate in one cycle, which is basically the heart of most of the machine learning inference. And on the other hand, what you can really do as well is, you can really pack two 8-bit operations and do two 8-bit multiply accumulate in one cycle. And this is pretty unique for our DSP block. And how it translates into application, if some of you in the audience are very familiar with the convolutional neural network, you can really see in the bottom, we show two examples where you can basically go from an input feature map to output feature map transformation. And if you go down to the 8-bit, you can really compute two outputs in one cycle versus two output in one together versus one output at a time. So what it really does is you are getting all the advantage of going down to 16 bits of a fixed point arithmetic, but on top of it, the Xilinx architecture allows you to effectively double, it's not really double, but for ease of explanation, effectively double your compute performance. And it gives you the kind of compute density. When you deploy some of this machine learning on a larger scale, I think it will be pretty interesting to see. So we have written a white paper on how we can do some of these optimizations, and it is available on our website. And I will encourage you guys to go and see that. Now, finally, it boils down to, as Nazim said, is, machine learning is fine, your FPGAs can do things, but all my deployment is based on software. I use Caffe, maybe I use TensorFlow, maybe I use my own thing, right? And one of the things we are trying to really do is abstract out the FPGA as much as possible. Now, it's not that everything we can do together, and if you see what was said in Nazim's earlier slide is, we are giving a benchmark stack where we really show you how we are doing machine learning. And this benchmark stack is ready to go. You can use it as it is. And the key things what we are doing are these boxes in the red you are seeing is what we are really applying. So we are providing a one-to-one translation for some of the key machine learning functions like Con2D, or you do MaxPool, or you want to do ReLU, and as well as, if you want to do fully connected layer, there is a one-to-one translation. And there is a thin layer we are doing, which we call it at XDNN, and it really basically orchestrates your data movement between your FPGA as well as your host. So it's a kind of, when you are looking at a framework which is public domain, and some of them will port it and show you how it is done, but if you have your own framework, there will be enough examples where you can basically focus on the software aspect, what you are good at, rather than focusing on FPGA's program. So that is one of the key things we want to do. This doesn't take away your ability to optimize your FPGA function, but the thing is that you get you started, and you can see whatever we are talking about in a very quick way. So I think at a very high level, these are the few points we want to basically, we want to showcase, and there is a demo running in our booth, and I'm encouraging you to go and see it. So machine learning is one particular part of data analytics. There is lots and lots of data which is basically sitting in the standard SQL databases or no SQL databases. And this is the kind of data where people are mining this data to do what typically known as unsupervised learning or some kind of different kind of analytics they want to do. And Baidu, who is one of the premium partner, recently published a paper in HotChips, HotChips 2016, where they demonstrated that by implementing some of the key functions, and more specifically, these are the non-indexed SQL functions, where you are basically scanning a large set of data in FPGA and doing it in FPGA, you can get up to 25x acceleration compared to the CPU. So we are working closely with many customers, and what we have done is one of the requests they give us is, tell us how do you integrate with the FPGA. And to basically address that request, what we have really done is these two boxes down here in the red. What we have basically deployed is a data mover library. You can hook up to MySQL, you can hook up to PostgreSQL, and you can quickly get going. And some of the key functions like scan, compare, filter, and they are massively parallelized on the FPGA. And on the right-hand side, what we did is we took this particular framework and implemented it on the FPGA, and we did see a really good result, which basically translated into 34x compute efficiency. This is one of the standard business analytics. TPCH is one of the standard business analytics benchmark which people use in the SQL world. So in summary, I think our journey has started. We are at a very firm footing in terms of how we are enabling machine learning and data analytics on FPGA.